Okay, so I'll go ahead and welcome you all. It's so good to see you today. I'm so glad you came out to our annual symposium. This is something that I'm very proud of. First of all, my name is Dr. Hema Mason, and I am the chairperson for the Department of Sociology and Psychology. And I am a huge supporter of the Centers for Undergraduate Research. I am also a huge supporter of our students who want to engage in research. Because after all, research is the currency that we all need, or students need, to go on to graduate school and on into the field. So I congratulate you, I honor you, I celebrate you for these accomplishments that you have made, and I give you a hand. I want to just welcome those who are in attendance. I'd like to thank all of you who are here. First, I would like to thank our special guests today. They include Westover. If you want to just stand up and let's stand up. We celebrate you and we thank you for coming out, and we hope that there is something said here today or done here today that encourages you and motivates you to continue on in your education. We would also like to thank our other special guest, Doherty High School, if you'll stand. Nice, nice. We thank you for coming today, and we thank you for being part of this special event with us. We too hope that something is said or done that would help or motivate you to continue on in your education endeavors. We thank the deans and chairs who are here in attendance. We thank the mentors who are here in attendance. We thank those who are participating in the program today. I would now like to welcome the ASU administrators. First, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Arthur Dunning, who is the president of Albany State University. I understand that he was not able to make it, but I would still like to acknowledge our president. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Olufunke Fontenot, who is the associate provost. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend. I would now like to introduce to you Dr. Kimberly Holmes, who's the interim provost and vice president and director of Office of Title III programs, to come and say a few words regarding our event today. Dr. Holmes?
Thank you, Dr. Mason. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are absolutely delighted that you have chosen to spend your Friday morning with us. We have a phenomenal day planned for you, lots of discovery and exploration. I do bring greetings on behalf of Dr. Dunning. As has been mentioned, he apologizes for his absence at this very, very important event. I also bring you greetings on behalf of our cabinet, faculty, staff, and students. It is an extreme honor to have the high schools joining us this morning. We look forward to engaging with you in substantive ways over the course of the day. And we, again, are delighted that you are participating in this 6th annual meeting of those who have chosen to write history after understanding it at the unsinkable Albany State University. The theme of this year's symposium, Show Me the Data, places emphasis on the central role of data in understanding the environment and the conditions under which phenomena occur so that we are better able to make optimal choices, especially when several choices are available with potentially desirable outcomes. We look forward to what we know will be a phenomenal message from our speaker, who is also an alumnus of Albany State University, Dr. Kinson. I am quite proud and offer sincerest thanks to Dr. Okonkwo, Ms. Millage, and the Center for Undergraduate Research. I also thank the College of Sciences and Technology for their support under the leadership of Dr. Rusta, the planning committee for this symposium, the faculty mentors who are sharing their knowledge, expertise, and experiences, to grow a new generation of innovators and creators. And the students, you, the students, who are expanding your skill sets to be able to answer critical questions and develop ideas that can lead to new products or services or improvements in systems, services, or societies. To those who seek to conduct research, I hope you will continue to explore, investigate, challenge norms, not only think outside of the box, but transform the box into a shooting star that reflects your talent and potential. Do not allow your creativity to be stifled by time, perceptions, or even failures of the past. Be clear in your pursuit of excellence through research that the successes of tomorrow start with the research conducted today. At your hand, at your hand, at your hand lies the discoveries that will improve the quality of life for this generation and generations to come. Thank you again for your diligence and your commitment. We will see you on tomorrow's top stories of transformational change. Happy Friday to you, and go Rams.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes, for those encouraging words. Now I would like to acknowledge another special guest. Is Monroe in the house? Monroe? Besides Reginald Christian, we'd like to welcome you, Monroe, here to our event today. We thank you for coming and being in attendance, and we want you to have a good time today. We want you to take from this event a lot of learning. We want you to begin and establish relationships with others, and we want you too to go on as far as you would like in your education. So welcome. Now I would like to introduce Ms. Sandrette Moody, who is the Associate Director of the Programming Office of Title III Programs. Ms. Moody, if you'll come.
Good morning. I bring you greetings from the Office of Title III Programs. I wanted to let you know that we appreciate you coming to ASU to participate in this program. It shows that you have the capacity to move forward in your educational experience, that the willingness to go beyond just the norm. And we appreciate that. We think that you're going to be our potential ASU Rams, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. But moving forward, today's contemporary college student is faced with many challenges that can impede their academic progress. We are constantly reminded of the national goals of complete college, college completion, the gap between college graduate abilities and employers' expectations, the lack of adequate amount of STEM majors, especially among minorities, to name a few issues. Therefore, institutions like us search for ways to improve academic programs, student services, etc., that will improve academic performance as well as meet global demands. So you see, the Center for Undergraduate Research here at Albany State University is just one initiative that we have here for you to make sure that you're successful in college and move forward further than your bachelor's degree and go on to graduate school and further progress in your career. With high-impact programs such as undergraduate research, everyone benefits, from students, the institution, and the community. As has been historically expected of higher education institutions, solutions are found under these programs to address social, economic, educational, and global issues. I picture research, especially undergraduate researchers, as game changers. You are game changers. There is a collaboration between the students to actively learn by conducting research, whether STEM or non-STEM areas, to answer important questions, as Dr. Holmes has already mentioned, to raise questions about poverty, health issues, global warming, childhood diseases, to name a few. We have many research projects that you will see today that is produced through this initiative, and we welcome you to witness and engage in the sessions allowed. However, my first question I would like to ask each of you to consider how we can build the capacity of the institution by first providing more academic opportunities. Share your ideas with us while you're here. For students, for serving as gateway to graduate programs. And second, building collaborations and partnerships with the community. And the theme today again says, show me the data. That's one of the main things that you would have to do when you have a funding agency funding your research, right? If they fund what you're researching, they expect to show the results. So we want you to show the results of your research. And also beyond this project, we want you to show the results of your experience here at Albany State and in your research experience by showing that you're moving forward to higher heights in education and your career. The Office of Title III commend you on your effort and encourage our faculty to consider joining the initiative. We want more to join in this initiative. The more, the better. The Office of Title III welcome you to the Fall 2017 Undergraduate Symposium, and we celebrate your current success. There's more to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Now, I would like to acknowledge and ask Dr. Okonkwo, the Director for Centers for Undergraduate Research, to come forward for a couple of words before we have the introduction of the keynote speaker, which will be given by Ms. Noel, who's a psychology major, class of 2021. Can we invite Dr. Okonkwo? Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Albany State University and welcome to our 6th annual Fall Undergraduate Research Symposium. We're happy to have you here this morning. We're also happy to have our students from various high schools in Albany to join us this morning. Undergraduate research has been talked about by our previous speakers, is very, very important to our students. It does add value to our education of students at Albany State University. It's been proven here that students who participate in undergraduate research attend graduate schools more than those who don't. The mean GPA of students who do undergraduate research is exceedingly higher, that is statistically higher than those who do not. So the evidence is there. This last year, we completed a 6-year study of all our undergraduate research participants over the last 7 years. And we did find out that indeed, whatever happens elsewhere happens here. It turns out today that we have our keynote speaker, who is a graduate of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, that he participated in undergraduate research while he was in Albany State University. He happens to be one of my mentees who have moved forward to getting PhD. I'm proud to say that I have mentored 6 students who finished in Albany State University who are PhDs today. So they made that effort. The only job I had to do was to be their mentor. So we invite you from our local schools, Westover High School, Monroe High School, and Darty High School to come to Albany State University. Whether you want to study medicine or psychology or mathematics or computer science, we have a place for you here at Albany State University. Thank you and welcome again.
Good morning. Dr. Christopher Laurent Kinson was born and raised in Albany, Georgia, and was a 2007 honors graduate of Westover High School in Albany. Dr. Kinson proceeded to Albany State University as a Velma F. Grant Honors Scholar, majoring in mathematics during his undergraduate education at Albany State University. He was very active in both in-class and out-of-class learning activities. He participated in Albany State University's undergraduate research and made presentations of his research findings at the Albany State University Undergraduate Research Symposium, Morehouse Undergraduate Mathematics Research Symposium, as well as the Florida Georgia Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation Conference. He participated in research experiences for undergraduate at the Summer Undergraduate Mathematical Sciences Research Institute at Miami, Ohio University. He also worked at ASU as a first and second year experienced peer tutor, an activity he enjoyed doing immensely. Dr. Kinson earned his BA degree in mathematics with magna cum laude from Albany State University in May 2011. Early 2011, he applied and gained admission to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign for doctoral studies in statistics. During the summer 2011, Dr. Kinson was invited to participate in the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign Summers Predoctoral Institute prior to beginning the PhD program in statistics. That summer, he became acclimated to the rich and rigorous academic environment at UIUC. In August 2017, Dr. Kinson successfully defended his PhD dissertation in statistics at this America's foremost university for the mathematical sciences. Dr. Kinson is currently working as a visiting assistant professor at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. He is currently teaching Stat 448, totaling 80 students, an applied statistics course covering a broad range of methods and analysis using the SAS programming software. His current research focuses on the development of methodologies to analyze largely structured longitudinal data. He has a personal research interest in intersecting Blackness, statistics, and empowerment, and would like to do so through the educating and training of all students, especially Black students as statisticians, data scientists, and statistical practitioners. Accomplishment of this will have broader impact on the greater society.
All right. First off, I want to thank Dr. Okonkwo and the Mathematics and Computer Science Department for inviting me here to speak at this event. I also want to thank Virginia Blake and Yemisi Millich, for also organizing and making sure we get the paperwork so that I can be here on time. I really am happy to be here back in my hometown. It's been a few months since I was here last, and quite a few years since I've been on this campus. So it's really feels good to be back. And I'm honored to be back at this historic institution. I just have so many memories being undergraduate student here, and it was a lot of fun. So as Ms. Noel stated, I am a statistician. I am also a visiting assistant professor at the U of I in Urbana-Champaign. And about 6 years ago, I was right where you all are. I was an undergrad or a senior undergrad. I was curious about, my future. I was nervous about graduate school because I didn't really fully understand what I was getting myself into. And so today I wanted to talk about some things that I don't quite remember people saying about graduate school, or at least they didn't tell it to me. And I hope it's informative, I hope it's enlightening, I hope it's encouraging for those of you who are thinking about graduate school, especially for those who are actually attending graduate school next year. So, yeah, I hope this is helpful. A little bit more background about me. My schooling started actually at my caretaker's house, Miss Gaines. That's where the sort of first, education started. And then I went on to Jackson Heights Daycare Center, and then Lincoln Elementary School, and then Highland, and then Robert Cross Middle Magnet School, and Westover High School. And then here, of course, at the unsinkable Albany State University. And throughout those years, I made a lot of friends. Some folks I still call or text today, and or some people that I just saw today that I went to school with. It's just love and respect to see people, that you start at some point with, and then see them as you grow together. So it's a really beautiful thing. After graduating from ASU and entering my first year of graduate school, I don't recall somebody telling me this one particular truth, and that is you probably won't have any friends when you start graduate school. It was true for me, and I think it's true for most folks who leave their hometowns, who are leaving these undergraduate places, and they're going to this very new, bigger space. It's humbling. And, it's a marathon race that you're about to enter into when you start graduate school. It's not it's not short. It's not a sprint. It's a long, arduous process, but it's well worth it if you persevere. And I remember when I arrived in Urbana, I didn't know anybody. I got off the plane, nobody was there to greet me, and I walked outside the airport, and there's a few taxi drivers, and there's this one and only one black taxi driver there. And so he asked me if I needed a ride. I said, yeah. He got my bags, and then we proceeded to go on this strange taxi ride. It wasn't, it was strange in a good way, though. Strange because, he needed to run some errands. And so he stopped at a butcher's shop, he stopped at another store, took me to where, he needed to go. And then I was like, well, I need to run some errands. So then we stopped at a Walmart and got some things. And then we were able to, from there, go to where I was staying at that time. And, I'll never forget that. This was before Uber, this was before Lyft. These were apps that weren't really around at the time. So it was unique, and at that time, I just remember, I don't forget that because at that time he was my only friend in town. You understand? So when you go into these new spaces, just remember that you may not have friends when you start graduate school. I remember when I was at ASU, I was a top performing student, like they said. And I had a few friends around campus, but when I was in grad school, I wasn't just the smartest or the top performing student anymore. There were 10 of us in my cohort, okay, who were entering the PhD program in statistics. And, I was now competing or in the same class as Chinese students, Indian students, Korean students, and also white students. I remember one member of my cohort, she was 19, starting a PhD program. And so she was like one of the youngest people starting a PhD program. And she was also a member of the Chinese Mathematical Olympics team. So So she was no like lightweight when it comes to math and statistics. Another colleague of mine, he had graduated with a master's degree already and had already started working as a statistician for 2 years before starting the PhD program. And he went to one of the best institutes in the world for statistics called the Indian Statistical Institute. So, I could keep going on about the rest of my cohort, but, I'm just trying to highlight that, you're leaving one space like this where you are, at the top, and then you're going to a new place where you're not going to be the only person at the top anymore. You have a whole classmates, you have all your classmates who are just as high achieving, just as, interested in what you're doing. So you're really going to have to, like humble yourself, okay? And you also have to be aware that you may be going into a space where you're not the only black person either. You may also be in the space where you're the only person or one of the few people whose native language is English, okay? So you have to, come outside of your comfort zone a lot, deal with the culture shock that is graduate school, especially if you're in STEM. But then also, reach out to folks and talk to them, connect with them. Really do what you can to help this process of graduate school push you along. And you're gonna have to persevere. You're faced with a lot of odds when you start graduate school as a black person in STEM. So don't take it for granted, but also don't feel defeated. If you persevere, you will definitely finish what you started, and you need support. And that support comes in the form of friends and professional networks that you will want to connect to. And so if you see these pictures, this is my first year. I was a little bit thinner then, and I had made, these are some of my members of the cohort on the right side, or maybe your left side, and then I had planned potluck dinners and just get-togethers with people who were very much different from me. Actually, if you see me, I'm the one black speck in the very back of that room right there, okay? And so you're gonna really have to reach out to folks. You're gonna have to find some commonality and just talk to folks, connect with folks. I remember I had a classmate who didn't know that, this is embarrassing. She didn't know that, this skin color of this side of my hand was different from this side. You understand what I'm saying? So you're entering into a space where people really, they don't understand black people, but also they don't really know either. And it's not necessarily because they, don't like you, but it's more like they just really have no interactions with people who look like you at all. So you really have to go into these spaces, break your comfort zone a lot, okay? And just really talk to people and grow. And the growing you allow yourself to do in graduate school, it can be life-changing. And it'll serve to help you forever when you allow yourself to grow like that. You're gonna need friends because grad school is a solitary process, but it doesn't have to be completely in solitude. And the second truth I don't remember anyone telling me was that grad school, that you have to spend a lot of time by yourself. That's something I don't really remember people telling me, when I was applying or that I was, thinking about grad school. And I know it sounds contradictory because I'm saying you need to make friends, you need to reach out to people, you need to talk to them, but you do because you're gonna need that, those connections and that support network, but most of your time will be spent solo. You'll be, studying alone. You'll have to find spaces where you can gather your thoughts, be undistracted and get really focused so that you can do the work that you need to do to progress towards your degree. Because in a PhD program, you don't just take classes. You actually have to do research. And there's also several other academic hurdles that you have to pass before you earn the degree. So I remember, so you have a few hurdles. So you have a qualifying exam, you have your once you pass your qualifying exam, and you take a certain amount of classes, you become a PhD candidate, okay? And then you have to pick your advisor, okay? And then form a committee, start your research, do a preliminary exam. After that, then you have to work on your dissertation. From your dissertation, you have to defend that because people need to approve of you. Your committee has to approve of what you're doing. And then you can say you have a doctorate degree. So it is, it's no joke. It's a lot of time put in. I mean, I remember studying for my qualifying exam after the first year that summer, and I probably spent every day studying. And, and you're by yourself when you're doing that. So I'm trying to tell you that because, it's a part of it. It's a part of the perseverance that you have to get through. You're gonna really be spending a ton of time alone. And I know that can be uncomfortable for some folks, and that can be, it can be a struggle, but that's why you have to reach out to folks. That's why you have to, find some commonality and really talk to people. In this picture here, I was probably at my thinnest. This is like probably around December of 2011 after my first semester, and I lost a ton of weight. Some of that was stress related, but some of that was also, I was like not eating bread. So, there's some, this can be a little confusing. But in the other picture, you see this board, right, that's got all these notes on it. That's like regular. that's like basic stuff, you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to, find spaces where you can be and you can focus and you can get work done. This work may come in the form of trying to write out your thought processes, okay? And you're trying to solve problems, especially if you're in math or statistics, even computer science. You're trying to solve like very tough problems, okay? Once you start the research process, that's basically going to be your life's work, or at least it's going to be the thing that is going to go on your resume, it's going to go on your CV, and people are going to never let you forget about your research. They're going to bring it up every time you want to apply for a job or you're thinking about doing something different. It's always going to, pop up. So it's really important that you do a good job of it and that you also enjoy it just a little bit, the research process. Because every time, I just remember I was, working on the problem, and then I would feel guilty when I wasn't working on it. You understand? So it consumes you, or at least it can consume you. So just know that that's a part of the process. This is not something that only you are going through, but everybody's going through that. And so that's why you need that support network, because it's nothing like having a good time with people who are also going through the PhD process so that you all can feel guilty together. It's really a good time when you do that. And my last point that I don't recall people saying about grad school is you got to live your life while you're in grad school. The time is going to pass by whether you're the most productive person or the least productive person. You're likely going to have a job as a part of your being a graduate student, so you'll probably either be a graduate assistant, which means you don't get paid at all. You could be a teaching assistant, which means you get paid very little. or you could be a research assistant, which means you get paid just a little bit more than a teaching assistant. Okay, so these are jobs that are not paying you top dollar. Okay, so that's why you got to enjoy it anyway, because that's about as good as it's gonna get. So as far as pay goes, so enjoy graduate school. I know I did. I had so much fun in that process. I took a dance class in my second year, and I was trying to impress this woman, and I thought it was gonna work, but it really didn't. And we didn't work out, but I liked dancing so much, like I was learning so much, it was so cool to me that I just couldn't stop taking the classes. I couldn't stop dancing, and and the nice thing about dancing is you build community with that. You can build a supportive network. You're meeting new people, and you're going out and you're participating in things in a way that's helpful. It takes your mind away from your rigorous activity, as far as schoolwork, but you get a chance to build this, these new friendships. So here in this picture, again, I'm probably like, oh, I see, okay, there's 2 black people in this one. And then there's a couple more black people in the other picture. So yeah, we were having a lot of fun. I think we traveled here and went to like another town over to go dancing. That's how into it I was. And I was, organizing people to do it, and, it was fun. I also traveled when I was in grad school. I went to Puerto Rico on spring break back in 2014. Yes, you do get spring breaks in grad school, but again, the guilt will follow you wherever you go. So if you go somewhere, just try to enjoy it as much as you can, because you're gonna feel bad when you get back. And your advisor is like, where's the work? And you're like, I was in Puerto Rico. So, I was in Puerto Rico with my best friend, and we, for spring break, and we, went to the beach. We hiked up this mountain in the tropical rainforest. That's why I'm sweaty right here. Just all the like steam and precipitation is coming down. So it was a beautiful time though. And, I loved it. I wish I could have stayed. And I also went to France when I was in grad school. And yes, you can do all of this even with the little bit of pay that you get. I don't want to make it sound like you're not getting paid at all, but if you save and plan, you can do it, or you can put it on credit. That works too. But I went to France. I actually went to France to go dance, which is like, that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but yeah, I was like heavy into it. And so it was a great time. And this is a part of grad school, that people don't talk about, is that you can go and have a good time and enjoy your life. And then there was this, right? So, this was something nobody else talked about either, which was that you could fall in love with somebody in grad school. And, meet the person that you never forget about forever. It's just this person that stays on your mind constantly, and you're like, oh man, what's wrong with me? I'm losing my edge. I'm soft, I'm this, I'm that. But, you start, it's a beautiful time. And this is my wife. We got married actually this past New Year's Eve. In 2016, and it's been a beautiful ride, and she's expecting our first child, and so thank you. And it's grad school can be a lot of things. I know I talked about a few moments where it can be tough, and that is true, but it can also be beautiful. It can also be rewarding. It can also be fun as well. It just depends on what you want it to be, and don't get lost in the grind of the work. Make some time for yourself, make some time for friends and family, and just have fun, enjoy it. So with that, I'm done, and I saw on the program it said there was a Q&A session. I don't know how this part is gonna work, but if you all have questions or you're curious about something, some part of grad school or some part of college in general, I guess now is a good time to ask. Oh, we have some hands. Maybe can y'all come to the mic, or maybe the mic can come to you.
I'm not running the mic around.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, please come to the mic.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to go? My question is, going into grad school, would you say if you wanted to pursue a doctorate degree, would it be worth it getting a master's degree before stepping into the process of a doctorate degree?
Okay. Well, so sad thing is most master's degrees cost you money. Okay, you're gonna have to come out of your pocket to pay for most of them. But in PhD programs, almost all of them, they're paying you, or in some sense, you have to work for that time that you're there. So you're being employed. So I would suggest you just apply to the PhD program, because you're gonna earn your master's as you go along anyway. I think that's a probably wiser thing to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
What would you say would have been the most, I guess, nerve-wracking thing that went through your mind when you were applying to these schools or trying to decide where to go?
Ooh. I don't know if I was like that nervous. I guess the part that people also you may not realize is after you apply and you get accepted, or let me see, how does that work? I think even before you get accepted, it's possible that the schools that you're applying to will want to interview you, or they will want to at least meet you, and so you can often arrange, or ask to arrange a visitation where you can come up and see the school, sometimes on their dime, meaning they can pay for the trip or for your trip. It's possible. So I think the only nerve-wracking part was meeting, these professors, and talking to them about, my plans, what I wanted to do, and why I was, applying to this school. Other than that, it's not that nerve-wracking. I mean, grad school applications do cost money, so that can be a little taxing. But that's why there are certain programs that will pay for your graduate school applications. So if you look out for, I think they're called SROP in certain states, it's, what does that mean? I think it's like Student Research Opportunity or something like that. But you can look out for those SROPs to pay for your graduate school applications, and they do that. Even there's programs like McNair as well, who it's a whole undergraduate program for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So like in grad school, how did you find a way to balance your work life and the ability to have fun as well?
Yeah, I don't think I found a balance. I think a lot of the time, like I remember, so most of that fun stuff I was doing was after the first year, because the first year I was actually I was struggling, like trying to get through the grind, and I didn't have any real opportunities to engage in other things. And I think that was just mostly my fault, so that's why I'm telling everybody to try to have fun as when you can, but it's a hard thing to balance. I don't know if anybody ever really does. I know I didn't really balance it. I just would I would work, and then there would be certain nights where I know, there's a dance party every night of the week. Or there's a dance party once a week, and I would okay, I'm gonna spend time going to that. So I would work, and then I knew I was going to that. And then, you have to sort of plan it. It's not really spontaneous anymore. Like undergrad, you could walk out your door, out of your dorm, and there's something to do. and you can still do work too. But in grad school, you really have to plan those fun activities. You can't just show up and start having a good time. You gotta you gotta feel, because you want to feel good about the progress you're making. So you don't want to just kick it. You want to work, feel good about the work you did, and then kick it. I mean, that's my suggestion. Yeah, but it's a hard thing to balance. I don't think I ever really did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for informing us on graduate school. I actually have 2 questions. My
Yeah.
first question is, did you have, I know graduate school can be expensive. Did you have any fellowships? And if so, where did you look or who did you go to get those fellowships?
Yeah. So grad school can be expensive, which is why I was suggesting to the other student that you apply to the doctoral programs, like that's your main thing. And then because typically they won't take you if they can't afford to keep you there. So they have to give you some kind of employment while you're there. So that was helpful. So that was like the TAs or the RAs. Mm-hmm. But I did have a fellowship as well called the NSF, what is it called? Graduate Research Fellowship. Okay, that was actually a big deal. I didn't say that, but that's actually a pretty big deal. And that paid me about $30,000 a year. So that was really helpful as well. I know it don't seem like a lot of money, but like that was like untaxed. So it's helpful. I mean, the grad fellowship is very helpful as well. Yeah. So how did I find out about them? I think so. When you get to grad school, if you have a good advisor, or if you have a good academic advisor, they can like point you to those fellowship offices. So we had a fellowship office on campus, which contained all of the resources for these types of grants and fellowships. So I think my advisor knew about the NSF grant, and she was like, "Hey, you should apply to this." And I was like, "Okay." And I worked, tried to get an application ready and submitted it. So I would say if you're going, most colleges or universities have a fellowship office, and I would say start talking to those people.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is, what would you say to someone if they wanted to take a year off from undergraduate before going into graduate school?
So I didn't do that, but I think it's okay to do it. I just, I don't know. So my wife did something like that. I don't know if it I don't think it hurts you. I don't think it, truly helps you either. It's just a good decision to make if you feel, I think if you're feeling kind of overwhelmed about finishing something and trying to start something else, it's a good idea to sort of take some time to gather yourself, make sure that it is something that you really want to do. But I didn't take that time. I just went straight through from undergrad.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Madison Blackman, and I am representing Westover High School. And my question for you is, what role did your parents play that drove you to your goal early on in your life?
Yeah, I don't want to say something bad. Wow. What role did my parents play? Let me try to be nice. Now, I think, I think they were always encouraging. They always said, positive things about, they always just tell me like, you can do anything, you put your mind to it. And, I think I was probably one of the few kids that took that seriously. And, because it's something you hear people say, but you don't think about it. And so I think I probably took it maybe a little too seriously, as a younger person, because I was really driven. But I think they just were overall encouraging. I had rules and stuff, but Yeah, I think, okay, and another thing, and this might be embarrassing, but another thing is, you know, so, how can I say this? So this is a small town, right? This is Albany, Georgia. And a lot, you know, there aren't, I don't know, is there a PhD program here? Do y'all offer, okay. So there's not a PhD program here, right, currently. So that was also kind of one of the reasons that I couldn't stay here. I couldn't stay home. You know, I had to find somewhere else to go. And, you know, I'm not saying my parents drove me away, but I'm saying that, you know, sometimes if you've been home from all your life and college, you want to find somewhere else to be. You want to separate yourselves a little bit. So I think that was just a lot of what was on my mind in making that decision to go to Illinois.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I would like to ask, how much of a role did your friends play in helping you keep a level head when you felt as if you had too much work to bear at one moment?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely helped. I mean, you know, sometimes I think sometimes I was probably trying to do too much, like too much work. And so, like I said, that first year I was not like going out or having fun at all. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people in Urbana-Champaign, fun for them is going to a bar and drinking. And I mean, I think there's a lot of alcoholism in graduate school that people don't talk about. But, you know, honestly, that wasn't like the thing I wanted to do. I didn't like, you know, drinking like that. So I think I would just stay in my room and I was making beats. And that was kind of like, I was just real like a lone wolf, you know, until I really started making friends. And then that's when I, you know, they would like remind me like, hey, you've been working all day, let's go do this thing. And so that was really helpful for me to sort of get out of my apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am Victoria Jones, representing the Monroe Comprehensive High School.
Okay.
And my question is, how did your work ethic change when going from undergrad to grad school?
Yeah, so I probably did more work than I did in undergrad. So I think in undergrad, you know, I was, you know, taking the classes and doing well, and, you know, I was doing homework and stuff, but it wasn't as difficult, you know, to do like math and statistics and computer science here as it was to do that in graduate school. The level is like way up, so you really have to spend a lot of time, you know, like I was saying, spend a lot of time by yourself studying, practicing problems, you know, doing everything you can to make sure you're keeping up with the material, because, I mean, as a grad student, so as a PhD student, I think you were required to take 3 courses, which are all 4 credit hours, but some people were taking like 4, and I knew I couldn't handle that because it was a lot, and it's a lot of work. So I did a whole lot more work in going from undergrad to grad school, a whole lot. Yeah. Okay, I think those are some really good questions, and I thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to speak to y'all, and good luck with grad school and undergrad as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kinson, for those wonderful suggestions, tools, and tips regarding graduate school. I agree with everything he said. There are a couple of other things, though, I feel that, Dr. Holmes, will you come up for a second, please? There were a couple of other tools and tips, if you don't mind, Dr. Kinson, that we would just like to share very quickly. Mine came up because he had actually mentioned going and traveling, being able to travel. And one of the tips that I was offered when I was your age was that you do that by attending conferences. Go to a conference in a location where you really want to be, okay? And make sure that your school has funding for you so that you can go on their dime. Does that make sense? So when I was in graduate school, I went to, now this wasn't, may not be a big deal to some, but for me, going to California for the first time in grad school, that was a big deal. Then I went on to an international conference, and that was in London. Then I went to a conference that was in Hawaii. So these are places that I was very specific and, methodical about. Okay, I want to go to these conferences. And if that meant being only able to go to one conference a year because there was only that amount of funding, that's where I went. And so I would go, I would work, do what I was supposed to do, present my poster, do my oral presentation, network, and then play. And that's how you do it, for free. Okay, so that's one of the tools and tips that I want to share, and Dr. Holmes has something to share as well.
Thank you to our speaker again for an outstanding presentation. Just wanted to add a couple of tips based on those wonderful questions the students posed to us. Let me share that when you're in undergrad, there will be opportunities to participate in graduate fairs on your campuses, and certainly we have that. As a matter of fact, we have one coming up at ASU. So when you're at those undergraduate fairs, those are institutions who have committed themselves, they've set aside resources to recruit you. So go to those undergraduate fairs, talk to those institutions that are looking for bright and talented people to come into their master's and doctoral programs. Ask them those questions about whether or not they will fund a master's degree, whether or not they will fund your doctoral degree. Ask them those questions while they're here. Also, I want to make sure you know about the Southern Region Education Board. SREB.org is their website. That is a consortium of states that have aligned themselves to fund students to go towards doctoral programs. The goal of SREB is to produce another generation of faculty. So if you're looking at going into a master's or doctoral program and you're looking for funding, that's one source I wanted to make sure you know about as well. So those programs, and by the way, do research, pun intended. Do your research. You're looking at admissions criteria now. High school students, you're doing your research on universities. I know I want to major in this, or I know I want a career in that. You're doing your research to say, what are the criteria the institutions have that I can pursue my major in, right? Because you want to know as a freshman in high school what those admissions requirements are. I have a 13-year-old, he wants to go to Duke, play basketball. That's a whole other conversation. But what I'm saying to him is, if you're serious about Duke, ASU is a good choice. I want him to think about that. But if you want to go to ASU, if you want to go to Duke, then you need to know as a freshman in high school what the admissions requirements are, so that you can start as a freshman in high school preparing yourself to be ready. But not only do you want to be ready and not have any question about whether or not I'll get admitted to the institution I'm interested in, I want the money. Show me the data. You're going to show them the data. Your data is your GPA. Your data is the work you've been doing in the community. Your evidence, right? So you're going to write that history. I talked before to you about writing history. You're going to write that history starting in high school. You're going to do some phenomenal research while you're in high school because you can. I don't want you to think you have to be a certain age and in a certain place that's elsewhere in order to have the impact that you can have. You can have that impact now, but you got to think of yourselves. You might have to think of yourselves a little bit differently from the way you thought of yourselves. So now you're going to do the research. You're in high school, you're in undergrad, you're doing the research to get to the next level. You're going to understand what that criteria is, and if you have to, you will adjust your behaviors, how you make decisions, how you balance work and play, so that you can achieve the objective. And the good news is, when you get that really phenomenal GPA, when you earn it, people will pay you to go to school. I need you to understand that. I need you to understand that. My old buddy who used to teach math in high schools told her students to pay now and play later, or play now and pay later. Loved it, loved it. Her name is Wanda, Miss Wanda. We love Miss Wanda. So you're gonna pay now because you're gonna pay later when you've got the good GPA, your own scholarship. You get your undergraduate degree through a scholarship. You're gonna get the master's through the scholarship, right? Got my master's on scholarship, Georgia Tech. National Gym Consortium's another one. They pay for STEM masters, pay for STEM doctorate degrees. So SREB, National Gym Consortium, look at those two. There are many others out there, many others, but those are two I want to make sure I share with you. And then when you're undergraduate, you're looking at the criteria for the doctoral programs, you're asking about the master's, you're asking about the PhD or the other terminal degree, and then you're aligning yourself. Again, you're positioning yourself for promotion. You're positioning yourself for promotion. If you need to take the year off because you've worked really hard and you're accelerated, I'm mentoring a young lady now who finished her bachelor's degree at a very young age, 19. And people are pressuring her to go to the doctoral programs. She wants to take a year off, and my input to that student is that's okay. Because when you get in that program, just as our speaker said, you have to be fully committed. You have to be fully motivated, and there are some sacrifices you have to make to get that degree. So if you're not fully committed and motivated, self-motivated, the struggle will be even more real. So if you need to take that year for you, you take that year for you, not for anyone else, because you're the person who has to do the work. All right, hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Excuse me, just for direction purposes, we do have room 141 and 143 to the left. So we have the presentations will take place there. We also have room 193 on the other side. So we have 3 concurrent sessions right now. So when you step out, please go to one of those rooms. For the students who are visiting us today from the high schools, we do have something for you to do later. And we will call you back from, we'll call you out from the classrooms once those faculty members are ready to take you to the labs. But for now, I'd like you to go to those rooms, just as Dr. Holmes and Dr. Mason and Dr. Kinson have said, talked about today. Please make sure you take your SAT. If you want to go to college, you have to take the what? SAT. You can also take the ACT, but you need to do well in these classes. And when you go to college, I know some students who go to college, when the teacher says something, they say something. You cannot do that in graduate school. You go to graduate school and you challenge one of these old professors who hang their glasses like this, looking at you. You are done with graduate school. It is almost over. And once the professor gives you an F, once you get one F or one D in graduate school, you are done. My daughter, who was Dr. Kinson's classmate, is a medical doctor today. The same thing you do when you go to professional schools. You challenge a faculty member who is teaching you something, they tell you thank you very much. You may want to go back and flip hamburgers. Graduate school is not for you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you've been given your instructions. I'm going to let you go, and I'm just going to do a brief piggyback as you're standing and getting ready to go to your next location. The reason why that is, the reason why you can't fail courses or get below a B in graduate school is, like Dr. Kinson said, they are investing in you at this point. At the graduate level, they're investing in you. They are spending their hard-earned money to make sure that you perform or conduct research, teach classes, and it's like a job. If you do not perform well on a job, they're not going to give you chance after chance to get it right. They're going to say, like Dr. Okonkwo said, thank you very much, you're excused. So that's why you take it seriously. Especially, I'm speaking especially to our bachelor students who are getting ready to go into the process. This is what you want to pay attention to. I feel that there were a lot of great things said today with regard to the graduate school process and what that's like. I wish I had it in high school. I didn't have the mentorship. I didn't have people to care to take me to universities to get this information. So I am so happy for what I've heard today, and I hope you are too. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm just going to keep on tearing up stuff if you don't leave. Go to your next location.